Hello everybody, I'll be doing the cylinder mold coil demo, and for our mold I chose a water bottle. That's a nice cylinder shape. There's lots of other things that you could use. So for example, this cylinder part would work. This is a to-go container that would work, and then this is a mold that we have at school. And this is what we're going for. Here are some other examples of what past students have done with this cylinder. Okay, so now that you have some ideas of molds, we are going to get our mold ready. So we need to use a liner so that the clay won't stick to the mold. So we're going to use paper for our cylinder. Some other students have asked if parchment paper works. Yeah, parchment paper works, newspaper works. This is just paper out of my notebook. So any sort of paper will work for this. So we are going to wrap our mold with the paper. You don't want to do it too tight because this is going to function as a sleeve and we want it to slide off easily. So it won't fall off, it's tight enough that it stays on, but this will help the clay slide off nicely. Okay, so I taped that together. I'm gonna put that to the side. You'll also be needing a plate. We'll use this in a little bit. This is a bat from school, but at home a plate would work. And then also 2 objects that are about the same thickness, no more than 1/2 inch, that you can find at home. So Ms. Clavassa has used books. These are 2 pieces of wood. You could use rulers. This is going to be the same process that we've used for all of our other slab rolling. So I have my clay, my rolling pin, and my 2 flat objects so that this will roll out to be a consistent thickness. It's better to use more clay than you think you need, and to have to cut some off versus running out of clay and not having enough to go around your whole mold. Okay, now our slab is rolled out nice and even. It's kind of an oval shape. So we want to make the bottom flat because this is going to turn into a rectangular shape to fit around this. So I'm going to use one of these to help me cut a straight line along the bottom. And I'm also going to cut one of the sides flat too. I will leave the rest and cut that later because I want to measure this clay first to make sure I have enough to go all the way around. So I'm wrapping it around, making sure it's on there nicely. Okay. As you can see, I have a lot of extra clay on top. I have extra clay around the side. I'm going to cut some of this off just since it's kind of distracting. So I have a ton of overlap right here. So I'm gonna mark it. You still want a little overlap, maybe about 1/4 inch overlap, but I'm gonna mark it a little more right now. roll this out, see where my measurement is, and I'll cut there. I'm also going to cut the top a little flatter now. Okay, so now you can see it's a nice rectangular shape. I'm going to wrap this around again. There we go. That's a bit more still than I need, so I am going to cut, so it's about, like I said, maybe about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch overlap. There we go. Oops. So as you can see, it's overlapping about that much. Now you can weld it. Make sure to get it nice and even now while the clay is very wet and plastic, because as soon as we weld, we're going to take this mold out and let it dry. So you want to do this now while it has some shape inside holding it up. You can come back too and clean it up later. It's just going to be leather hard the next time you're able to touch it, because when it's off the mold, you don't want to touch it because it can mess up the shape. I'm also going to go around. The top isn't super even, and I want to even that out. I'm going to cut around the top to even that out a bit more. There we go. You can use your credit card here. I'm using a sponge to clean up any cracks that I have, to also make sure this is welded nice together and smooth. Okay. There we go. So welded nicely together. Now you're going to bring your plate in. You're going to put your mold with the clay on top of the plate. And now that it's on the plate, we can take the mold out. The reason we have it on the plate is so we're not going to have to touch the cylinder. And because if we touch the cylinder right now, it's very plastic, it's very malleable, it is probably going to get messed up, the shape. So I'm pulling that out. As soon as you're done welding together, we're taking the mold out. I'm going to take the paper out too. So the paper, as you can see, has already gotten pretty wet. So we welded outside here, but the inside's not welded yet. You can see in this example, they didn't weld the inside, but they welded the outside. We want it to be welded on the inside. So this one, it's nice and smooth in there. So I'm gonna go in with my butter knife. And weld the inside a little bit. It's secure on the outside, but I want this to look smooth on the inside. So I'm just taking this and dragging it along very carefully so that it's welded on the inside too. Okay. So now I'm going to leave this and not touch it anymore so that it will dry in a cylinder shape. And I'm going to leave this outside for about probably 15 minutes right now to let it get leather hard. And then we'll come back in and we will create a foot for this.